Well, good morning, Shelter family. It's Pastor Jay here for your Friday, May 22nd, 6 at 6. I hope you have had a wonderful week. Looking forward to seeing those that are able to come out this weekend. We're kind of running a soft opening here and still working on a whole bunch of things to try to get everything up in order and have some proper guidelines in place for when we have a grand reopening on June 7th. And I'll talk a little bit more about that because I certainly have missed everybody and am anticipating just a ton of people coming out for June 7th. But we have been talking this entire week about the concept of nutrition. You know, we've talked with Elijah this week about the idea of how praise and worship and prayer feeds the soul. Chris has gone over the concept of forgiveness and how that actually feeds one's spiritual walk. And then, of course, fellowship. And all these things equate to proper nutrition and balance. And I believe in that in a believer's life, that we must have proper nutrition. What I wanted to throw out to you is just the idea about something that Chris and I were talking about in regards to my little son, Lincoln. You know, from a very, very young age, as soon as he was really able to eat solid food, he completely ditched milk in all forms. It's just not something that, whether it agrees with him or just the taste, he's never going to drink milk. We've tried it different ways. We've tried chocolate milk into it, and it's just not happening for him. It's so interesting because my big son, who is, 11 years old and almost 6 foot with a size 11 shoe, he's been a milk connoisseur from the very beginning. He still drinks a glass of milk every single day. The point that I'm making is that there's been benefits for both boys for what they have chosen to do with simply milk. And what I want you to think about is that there is no one that controls what you put into your own body. That's completely on you. And that is completely on you when it comes to the spiritual side of things. You control your own nutrition. There's so many things, and if you remember what Jonathan talked about a few weeks ago when we were into growth, that aren't controllable in your life. But the Word of God is able to be consumed every day. Now, even with technology, you don't even need a physical Bible. You can read the Word of God, listen to the Word of God on your phone or on your computer. There's access to proper nutrition, but it's all about your choice. I think this is so interesting because King David mentions the idea of feeding oneself properly in Psalm chapter 1. He goes through all the things that we're not supposed to do, and then he says what? He says, but it's the righteous man's delight to be in the law of God, to be in the Word of God. Let's read it. Blessed are those who don't walk in step with the wicked, or stand in the way that sinners take, or sit in the company of mockers. But those that are blessed, their delight is in the law of God, and they meditate on his law day and night. They are like trees planted by streams of water, which yield its fruit in its season, whose leaf does not wither, and whatever they do prospers. So the concept here is very simple. You're in charge of nutrition, your own nutrition, of what you feed yourself. You have to have some hard questions this weekend. Because the truth of the matter is we find ourselves many times putting in garbage. It's the way of the world. But there's opportunity for you to actually focus and say, today the priority is for me to feed myself that which would produce growth, that which would produce movement, right? Again, with Lincoln, I can't make him drink milk, right? And so what Kristen and I have tried to do is we've tried to find supplements, things that are not natural, to kind of suffice what he's not getting from drinking milk on a daily basis. This does not work like that with the Word of God. You can't pick up a chicken noodle soup for the soul book and replace that and have that as a replacement for the Word of God. There's only one thing I believe, and as we've talked throughout this week, with fellowship and forgiveness and prayer and worship, there are things that are truly feeding to your soul. You're in charge of putting those into you. So I hope that makes sense for you. I hope you guys have a wonderful weekend. I'd love to see you at church on Sunday morning. But I want you to remember we don't have any children's programming available. We'll be having a live band for the first time. Of course, there's tons of you that will be back at home, which we just so appreciate you being part of the service in that way. We'll be streaming live like we have for the last few weeks. We'll be doing that up until June 7th, and I think we'll even be doing it beyond that as we're working on some different options that way. I hope you have a wonderful, wonderful Friday and Saturday. Be blessed. I love you guys so much. Hey, listen, you're in charge of what you put in your body. Ask yourself that question. Am I feeding myself that which provides nutrients and growth? I love you guys.